Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the official podcast of the Broad Press, where we take you beyond the headlines and do a deep dive into some of the many interesting articles written by our team this week. As always, my name is Noah, and I am joined by our managing editor, Holly Morrison, and our editor-at-large, Jonah Dayton. How are you both doing?
Doing
Thumbs
well.
up.
Thumbs up.
Yep, doing good.
Fantastic. So this was another, I guess you could say, slower week.
We wrote a lot of articles about Halloween, so there's no point in talking about Halloween now.
Yeah, the timing of things kind of fell a little weird for us with Halloween and a few other things. So a little bit slower, but that just means we get to dive deeper into a few unique topics, a few niche articles that we might not have normally looked at. So that's always fun. But with that, we will get right into it.
All right. So just before we get into the next few articles, just wanted to, remind and inform everybody that the winter sports season here at Brock is kicking off this week. The basketball season starts tomorrow on Wednesday. If you're listening on Tuesday, it's tomorrow. Wednesday night, the women play at 6, men play at 8. Hockey starts on the weekend, as does volleyball. And just wanted to, remind everybody, because the protocols for COVID are, there's a few steps you need to go through. So for a student, tickets are free. You still need to buy, air quotes, buy one. You just got to reserve it, but the price is $000. And we have links to all of the ticket websites on our website. I wrote previews for the men's and women's basketball team last week. Morgan, our sports editor, wrote one for women's hockey this week. So if you want to read those to sort of catch up on, by all means. And pretty much you're just going to have to do a COVID screening the day of, the same one you're supposed to do every day here at Brock. Show it to the people, you get a stamp, and then you just, again, reserve your ticket and you should be good to go.
Yep, it's about the same thing for hockey. The only difference with hockey, because basketball and volleyball are played here at Brock, hockey's a little bit of a trek for some people. It's Seymour Hanna Center, which is about, I'd say, a 45-minute bus ride from campus. It's worth it, though. They play some fun games. But same thing, you have to do a screening before you enter the building. That's the Seymour Hanna Center's screening. So they might ask you to fill out a form. You might get a link to your phone. But you also have to have a ticket for that if you are a student. Again, most of them are free, I think. I think you might have to pay for preseason and playoffs, but regular season, totally free.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Don't know why they make you pay for the games that don't count, but then the games that do count are free, but that is the rule.
Yeah, so hockey, basketball, volleyball, we will also be covering it.
Good stuff. And I am here too.
Noah is here too.
I love to support all of you in your sports coverage, but Lord knows I'm not helpful in that at all. All right, well, the first official article, technically we had some winter preview articles, but the first specific article we're going to talk about is right to disconnect laws possibly coming here in Ontario. So Dhvani wrote about this week. The provincial government here in Ontario is looking at potentially banning after-work communication from bosses, as well as a couple other things, which we'll also get into a little bit as well. A few kind of interesting labor adjacent reforms that a little bit shocked to see from this government, but also are kind of weird ones that I don't know, wouldn't be first on my plate, but I guess when we get in the conversation, we can talk about that a little more. But I find it kind of ironic that I'm introducing this article because Jonah and Holly can attest, I am the king of after hours and random hours work communication because I work really bizarre hours because, as they also both know, I'm not a morning person at all. But I'm also a work till 3 a.m. person. So sometimes I definitely don't do it after midnight. I don't think I've ever done it after midnight.
No. You've sent me stuff after midnight, but it's always been hey, look at this in the morning. It's never been I need you to do something at midnight.
No.
It's just been
even then.
Even most of the random communications are just they're not urgent. They're just this is what's going on. New couch. Yeah.
They got the new new couch.
I finished building the new couch at 6 p.m. So here it is for you all to see. Yeah, that's true. I actually don't necessarily like request a lot out of or anything after hours, really.
No. Like
yesterday.
You've done it to me a couple times, but I think that's okay. I am like.
It is a little bit with the job description, but that is also the problem.
So
that is also the problem that this article talks about, right? The availability creep. Like if I didn't have that means of connecting with you guys, like through Slack or anything, then I just wouldn't. It would have to wait, right? Like, and then we would probably be at the office more and like more. I might have to be a little more on time. God forbid.
How on time?
But how? Just might as well get into it. So how has like availability creep impacted both of you? Both, it can be this job, but I mean, it could be school, it could be anything.
I think for this job in particular, we don't really qualify for this thing. This type of job is very non-traditional. So I do think the like late hours communications are not a problem and are often necessary. And I've like done that with you guys before, just sending messages at like way after work hours, but I think our job sort of does not count for this.
Yeah, because that's the thing about like availability creep. It's like
especially us with sports.
Yeah, you have a 9 to 5 job. Availability creep is like your boss being like, "Hey, are you online at 7? Can you do a thing?" And it's like here, like technically we do have like set hours that we have to be working, but there's also like we have to be working on articles all week, and we have to like Jonah said, we have to go to sports. So like I don't know, if Jonah texts me at like 11 p.m. to be like, "Hey, could you look over this article that I have to post tomorrow because you got home from basketball at 10:30? Like, that makes sense to me. And then there's also, like, you're not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. I'd rather you send me something at 6 p.m. than 9 a.m. because if I don't have class, I'm not going to be, like, functional at 9 a.m. to do it. But I definitely, like, agree that, like, availability creep is a thing and, like, have seen people feel the need to be online all the time, especially with class. Profs are kind of like that, where they're like, "You're online all the time anyway, so like, why aren't you answering all of my emails and all of these discussion posts?" Like, that's definitely a thing that's like has happened because everybody knows how to work remotely now.
Yeah, profs always say like we can see who's online and we can see who's watched what lecture and whatnot, which I'm always like, is that a bluff? Are they bluffing?
No,
or is that they
can?
can?
They can.
Oh, all right.
Through Teams?
Through Teams, they can see who's online. I don't know if they can see who's watched what lecture. They can see who's opened what. And they can see who's on Sakai at any time. Actually, anyone can see who's on Sakai at any time. If you click on the roster, there'll be like
that's
a
true.
thing where it's like, person is on the Sakai.
Yeah, there's more of your info on Sakai than
it's the fun game is like an hour before the assignments due. See how many people are on Sakai.
Yeah.
It's like 105.
It's really fun.
But it's weird. It has like your phone numbers. It's weird.
Does
I
it?
didn't know there was that. Yeah, you have like a profile, like a Sakai profile. It's very weird. Very creepy.
I don't mind because no one knows how to check it. So.
Well, except for us, observing how weird it is that it exists. But yeah, I guess no one that's going to use it really knows.
Yeah,
it, right?
But that's definitely like a whole like availability creep thing.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Your prof is like, "I can see you're online.
But
it's doing the thing."
It's sorry to keep going off topic. It's funny that we would all like if we had a group project with someone we didn't know, we'd all rather just like stress out and not get in touch with them than use the Sakai to find their email.
It's so easy.
Yeah, but anyways, sorry for keep bringing us back off topic to mention that stupid point. But yes, availability creep in school, in work. This job is a little bit different, but I mean, even for this job, I mean, my job at this job is a little bit different than you guys. I've had a couple instances where people are like pushy for me to get back to them on a weekend.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's one thing to if you happen to be checking, like sometimes I check emails on the weekend.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll send out an email on the weekend. Yeah. Not super often, but like I get it. But then to come back like within the same weekend with a reminder to me.
Yeah.
To answer what you sent me.
That feels
like,
off limits.
You can wait. It can wait till Monday. Like you can hold off on that reminder until like even Tuesday. Like give me Monday to respond.
Like I've definitely sent emails on a weekend, and I've definitely like been sent emails on a weekend. You sent me emails on a weekend, but it's always been like, I know like you make a point like whenever you send me an email on the weekend, it's just like, hey, like can you get this done by Monday or like on Monday? It's never like a do it this weekend thing. It's like that kind of thing. So I think that's better at least.
Doesn't the most like what this is sort of getting at is like retail or just, I guess, traditional jobs where you have like
Service,
shifts.
yeah.
It's like, can you fill in here? Like, isn't that the problem?
I think it's more referring to office jobs.
Yeah, generally.
Oh, is it?
Because
Okay.
offering up shifts that open up is one thing, because you definitely have a right and ability to say no,
Like
you're
in
there,
theory,
which-
yes, but
which
like,
is not good. But I don't think that's what this covers at all. I don't think this
You know,
is.
right to disconnect is like very much like a white collar job thing. And
Yeah,
okay.
Like, it's not like you're.
it's not your right to like be the only person in the store and like refuse to
Yeah.
close because the person couldn't show up. Which I say that because that's happened to me many times when I worked in retail, where it's like, hey, my like dog is dying, or so. It's like all these crazy stories, and like some of them are definitely true. Like I don't think all those people were liars, but it's like it just kind of sucks that just because you're the one there, you have to be the one to cover. But I don't think that's what this is talking about at all. I think this is only targeted at people that
it's like targeted at people who like have to answer emails for their job, I think. And
yeah,
like,
those people
if you
have
work in
fake
retail,
jobs that
you
just
don't have
answer
to
emails.
answer emails. Like it's like you don't have to like I have no concept of what happens in an office job.
Yeah,
so like
I've never
if
had a
your
real
office
job.
boss emails you like, can I get the spreadsheets? You don't have to do it
Mo-
until you're 9
Most
to
of those
5.
jobs is having meetings and sending emails.
Yep.
90% of them.
A lot of these jobs have like a work phone as well, and oh my god, I just hope to God I never have to have a job that requires a work phone. I don't have enough pockets for that. I would mix them up.
Yeah, separate
And,
cell phone seems like the worst thing.
Yeah.
ever. Nothing wrong with them paying for my personal phone, but
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Which, for the record, I do not get. I'm not saying that from experience, but that'd be nice. But no, definitely not interested in having a phone specifically for people to contact me for work. Although I guess it makes it easy to like not give people your personal number.
Yeah,
for
and
one,
I guess like
and ignore it.
yeah, with
for
like the
two.
whole like disconnect thing, if you have like a work phone, it's you're working 9 to 5, you turn it on at 9, shut it off at 5.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to think about it. Now, Dhvani mentioned that there's a 25 employee requirement for this rule to take effect. So you have to have more than 25 employees, it says, for this to like apply to you. And they haven't even said like the rollout of what it actually will be, like
Of course they haven't.
the punishment or like penalty for it. So like, again, this is kind of exemplary of my issues with this government, is that they do a lot of random little things and I think them through maybe halfway at the most, and like, oh, sorry, you can't use the new license plates. We can't see them at night. Oh, sorry, the stickers to tell you that gas prices are too high. Don't stick onto the freaking gas. But like all these just random things that they try to do that never pan out. So sorry if I don't have faith in this, even though I think it's a good idea. But anyways,
No,
if there's a penalty and a hypothetical, yes, clearly I'm political science, and clearly Doug Ford's government breaks so many just like cardinal sins of political science and like proper governance to support them. But anyways, hypothetically, if this was well thought out and it was going to happen, do you think 25 employee requirement makes sense? Is a good thing? Is whatever?
It's kind of weird, like how they settle on 25, like 20. No. It's got to be more than that.
24? No.
Yeah.
25. It feels like one of those things where like whenever governments introduce like new labor laws, especially like anything to do with like wage, they always put a cap on it, and it feels like that kind of thing where they're like, we're just protecting small businesses from like having to do a thing, like we're but the thing is like small businesses are very much capable of like exploitation the same way large ones are. So I think if you're going to introduce this legislation, make it go across the board or not at all. But like if you're employed by someone, if there's like 5 of you or 25, your boss can still take advantage of you.
Probably more likely if there's less of you to take.
Yeah. Also, the easy fix for bosses is just like have 24 employees to get around this.
Yeah.
But I don't see this being like a huge deterrent of much of anything.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Especially if they have no prescribed punishment, and like, who is really enforcing that? Like, are people gonna have to go to the labor board for this? And like, I don't know who's gonna do that.
Yeah, like
You know
the
what I mean?
language in the article is very much like it will encourage employees to set out of office memos, and it'll like encourage employers not to contact people outside of working hours. And it's like, what do you mean by encourage, though?
I think it's just this is well, you know how you guys have all seen the election ads.
Yeah.
in
Yes. Oh my
sports.
God.
This is kind of running in tandem with that, I think it's an election move to try to set up some kind of talking point that they are, good with labor and
Yeah.
trying to be good for like workers, something that they can, so they can say that in an ad and like point to this as, kind of the proof of that.
Yeah, this government very much does like to be like, we're the working class people. Look at Doug Ford. He looks just like your dad.
He's wearing a construction hat.
He's got jeans on.
He's sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely an appearances thing. It sounds pretty decent, but just the fact of how paper thin it all is, it's like you're really just getting ready for June 2022.
Anyway.
So glorifying overwork, we do it.
Yeah.
It was, again, kind of a queued up question. I said, do we do it? We do it.
Yeah.
We all know we do it. But, what are some kind of places that you guys have like seen that kind of most commonly?
Twitter.
Yeah.
People
Twitter,
just like grinding.
grind, never stop.
60 hours a week.
Yeah. Or like.
I'm sure you two in the sports world.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my
God.
God.
It's
Twitter.
especially in the sports
Because
world.
sports people are very much like, because sports is like,
Hours aren't a thing.
hours aren't a thing, and like I've heard people describe it as like if you're working in sports journalism, it's like, or like sports writing, it's like the candy store of writing. You get to work at the toy store basically. You get to do like the fun one. So it's very much people are like, you can be taken advantage of and exploited because there's always someone else who wants to do your job. So
For
you
less
have to
money.
put in so many
Yeah.
hours because they'll do it for less.
Yeah. No, that is especially like you also sports work a lot of weekends.
Yep.
And
Holidays.
your sort of work calendar is dictated by like the season you cover or whatever. So definitely there's a lot of like, yeah, you got to put in more hours than everybody, and vacation days are not a thing.
Okay, so for our third and final article, we're going to be talking about Dhvani's feature piece from this week. So she took a pretty deep look at Taylor Swift's career, chronicling sort of her business dealings, especially when it comes to sort of her, I guess, quest to own her own music after a couple years ago, it was sold to someone who had sort of basically tried to like take her down and like destroy her career, and she obviously was not thrilled about that, hadn't been, offered the opportunity to like even buy her own music so she could own it. So then decided that what she was going to do was re-record all of her old albums so that fans could sort of listen to those ones instead of the ones that were owned by this guy, Scooter Braun, I think his name is. So yeah, Dhvani talks about sort of the business side of that and her sort of dealing with, business and media and fans, the connection that she creates with fans, and then also some of the misogyny that she's faced as like a huge female artist and how that's affected her career and her business dealings. So I know Noah listens to Taylor Swift. I know Jonah could not name a Taylor Swift song if he tried.
I'm sure if I heard one, I would be like, oh yeah, but off the top of my head,
not off the top of your head. I'm sure if we gave you like 5 minutes under pressure, you could come up with one.
By accident.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you played me a snippet, I'm sure I'd recognize.
but probably not. You'd be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this
I'm
is
not like
Taylor
not a fan. I just don't listen to her. It's like I'm a neutral.
There's a lot of things that you're like with that, where you're like,
I
I don't
know.
like hate it, but I've just never heard of it. But yeah, so how do you guys think Taylor Swift has sort of impacted the music industry? Is there like anything that you've noticed that's caught on or like started a trend or, any kind of like movement that she's sort of
Movement's a little rich.
movement?
I don't think she's particularly
No.
not like, what's the right word I'm trying to think of?
Revolutionary.
Revolutionary, even like, I don't know. She doesn't really state claims in much of like,
No, not a whole lot.
she's not really a trendsetter.
Didn't for a whole long time for like political reasons. Like she didn't want to lose
Right.
like the Southern
But
following.
her big like political stance is like she supports gay people. It's like, hey, it's better than not.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, again, she's
Mhm.
she's never had been like a ground, not to just instantly go into
Yeah.
crapping on her. I do think she set a pretty good formula for the transition from country to pop artist
Yeah,
pipeline, which is like
yeah.
running at full steam now. I mean,
I think that's
Taylor
like,
Swift set the roadmap of
Yeah.
that.
I think that's kind of like I think like it's not necessarily a negative thing. I think
No,
it's
not
kind
at
of
all.
cool how like artists can like release an album and there's more than one genre on it now.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that's
nothing wrong
neat.
with it.
I like even like Taylor Swift's like 2 newest albums. There was like some pop on there, there was some folk, but there were definitely songs that were country songs.
I'm shocked she's 31. I feel like she's been around forever, right?
Jonah
Well,
just
she
Googled Taylor Swift.
started at like 15.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah,
Like,
she was
so
like
she
a
has
kid.
literally been almost 20 years doing this stuff.
Wait, she's from Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
That's not country.
Well, she has like moved
I
a
think
lot.
like moved to Nashville.
Oh yeah,
kind of
relocated to Nashville. I see.
She's from like a very, very wealthy background.
thing. Yeah,
So I think they kind of got her in like the Nashville area.
yeah.
Again, not as two people that listen to her and somewhat enjoy her music, we're coming down really hard on her
I
here.
really like. Do not think that I don't enjoy Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift. Like whenever I get my like Spotify like data, it's like you're in the top 2% of Taylor Swift listeners. I listen to a lot of Taylor Swift.
That's the one. This is odd topic, but like I have Apple Music, and like I crave the statistics
They're
that
so
I don't
neat.
get. I
It is
know.
really
I would
cool.
love to see my
Yeah.
stats.
But yeah, so don't think that I don't like Taylor Swift because Taylor Swift is
No.
always up there. I love Taylor Swift. First album that I ever got as a kid was a Taylor Swift album. Stayed up till like midnight for her.
Was
like,
it a
new
CD or like a
releases.
record?
It was a CD.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
How-
like-
Holly's like younger than you. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
a couple
We're the
months
same
younger than
age.
Jonah.
But how would she get a record
People have
I did-
record.
I
No,
did
no,
have
no,
a
no. Record
player as a
players.
kid.
Yeah.
as a kid?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now everyone has a
Now
record player.
it's a big thing to have a
But yeah,
crappy
no,
record
I-
player.
I was like, I think the first time I got like my own record or like album CD, I was like, I want to say I was like 8, and it was Taylor Swift
Wow.
Speak Now.
Huh.
So yeah, big place in my heart is Taylor Swift.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
I know.
Can't
Shake It
complain.
Off.
There we go.
I'm
Jonah
looking
got
at-
one.
Hey,
I'm on her like Apple Music page, and I'm just top
Yeah.
songs. Yeah. No, I know that one.
Tell us about your listening binge the last day or two of Taylor Swift.
Dhvani wrote obviously this piece about Taylor Swift because Taylor Swift is coming out with her Red re-recording, which is a lot of people's favorite Taylor Swift album, and they say that like it's her best work and her best song. I don't necessarily agree with that. So as I was reading the article, I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to like Red in preparation for the re-release. So I listened to that, and then I was like, and now I'm just going to listen to exclusively Taylor Swift for the next couple days. Because I've gotten into fights a couple times with a couple people, especially on like Twitter, because I'll be like, All Too Well isn't Taylor Swift's best song, and people will disagree with me hardcore about that. But yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Taylor Swift, mostly just to like, because people will always be like, Taylor Swift fan, what's your favorite album? And I'm like trying to figure out which one that is.
I heard there's like a 20-minute version of that stupid song.
Yeah, like 10-minute All Too Well. I don't.
Good lord.
I think it's a good song. It's not the best song on that album, though. I think.
No,
Yeah,
it's-
there are better songs even on that album.
It's whatever.
I guess I've never had my heart broken by Jake Gyllenhaal, so I can't really relate to it.
that album has. It's tough. It's that one or 89 is her best one.
Okay, that's your opinion.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a definitive way of saying my
Yeah.
opinion. It makes it sound like fact, though, doesn't it?
it does.
The issue is Red has higher highs,
Yeah,
has better moments than 89. But it also has lower lows and a lot of junk that could have been, like, it does not need to be 16 songs long, 18 songs long.
yeah.
My
That's
ideal
absurd.
album is like 12 songs,
Yeah.
50 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a good length.
I want it to be less than
I like
ever.
10.
'Cause,
Yeah,
like, with
40,
her
50
whole
minutes. Yeah.
re-release thing, she's also releasing like songs that like she wrote around the same time. So like
That weren't included
That
on
weren't
this
included in the
overbloated
original
album. So, like,
yeah.
who
And, like,
knows
for,
the
like,
quality of
For
these?
me, who's like a big old Taylor Swift fan, I do want to hear like the
Oh,
songs
yeah.
she wrote. But like they're probably not going to be my favorite songs, and I get
No.
why they weren't on the original album.
Right.
But yeah, my favorite Taylor Swift album, I think, is Reputation.
Good lord.
I
Dhvani
think,
said the same thing.
here's the thing: people hate Reputation because all of the singles off of it were bad.
Horrific.
Like, Look What You Made Me Do is not a good song.
No.
I agree with that. It was the same thing with Lover. Lover got a bad single, but every other song on Reputation is a banger. They're really good. New Year's Day is the last song on that album, and it's like so good. It's actually like,
It's just, it was
I like
too
it a lot.
cringy, her trying to go, like,
yeah, that whole era. Because I didn't listen to Reputation at first because I was like, oh my god, she's being so cringe, and I was like, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan anymore. But
she's rapping.
yeah.
Ugh.
But then recently I was like, oh, actually, like, this is good as long as you skip that one song that sounds like Too Sexy for My Shirt.
I'm gonna get up Red right now.
Our-
We're not listening to it. We can't
No.
do that. But
Copyright.
but I'm gonna go through song by song
Okay.
here, and we're gonna say cut or keep. We're
And
gonna go down to 10.
Jonah's gonna go off vibes.
Yeah, I'll go off the tone in which you either agree or disagree.
Okay, State of Grace,
Keep.
probably her best song
Yeah.
of all time.
It's
It's my favorite of hers of all time.
not my favorite off this album, but it
Wow.
is, I think, up there as one of the best. My favorite song and what I consider the best song are different.
Red, another great song.
Keep, yeah, that one's good.
I keep Treacherous.
I would also keep Treacherous. I don't think it's in the right place in the album.
I was gonna say
It's
another
not a
thing
good
I
third song.
hate. Another thing I hate about this album, aside from those first two in a row, it goes slow, really, really slow, mellow song.
Yeah.
Really upbeat, intense song, slow song. It literally does,
Yeah.
it literally alternates almost the entire time. But anyways, Treacherous is good. I Knew You Were Trouble.
I
know that one.
There we go.
That was a big radio one.
Yeah.
It's aged poorly now because there's like dubstep in it.
Yeah. It
But
was
it's actually
good.
not
It
that
was
bad.
good for the time.
Yeah, definitely.
It reminds me of like a very specific time in my life of being 14, and like it's good for that. But I wouldn't like put it on.
What year was this album
Was
out?
it like 20?
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
So we were 12. All Too Well. It's pretty good. It'd
I like
stay
it.
on.
It's good.
Yeah.
Keep
It's
it.
definitely not what people say it is.
No.
22
I know that one too.
is horrible.
I
and
think
people
it's-
play it on Instagram every time.
I think it's so
22.
cheesy.
Oh, but you and I are turning 22. That's our next birthday.
It'll be on your Instagram
It's so
stories.
cheesy.
Oh, wait, you're
I
not
will
on
put it on my
Yeah.
Instagram story just for like the joke. It's like the
Yeah.
meme of it now.
Yeah, and that's fine. But like the song itself is pretty. I almost do. I don't remember that one. Skip, cut.
Cut. It's not great. It's just like
I don't remember.
I want to go back to you, but every time I don't, I almost do.
Another slow song that could be cut for sure.
It's a good song. I like it, but it doesn't need to be on the album.
We Are Never Back Together. Off by
I know that one too.
I
See,
think
I
it's-
know,
Yeah.
I know a most. I
That was
know.
a huge
Yeah.
hit.
Okay.
It's funny.
it could go. I think.
I think Red had two different vibes. There was like the 22, I Knew You Were Trouble, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together vibe, and then there was like the Treacherous, All Too Well vibe. And I don't know if
That's
those
what I mean. And they
vibes
just had
worked
it like
well together.
no, it's so jarring the way it lays it out.
Yeah.
I would totally change the track listing too. Stay, Stay, Stay is good.
That's one of my favorite songs.
That's
of
a
all time.
good one. Last Time, Gone. That's the Gary Lightbody.
Yeah,
Snow Patrol.
not
You didn't even know the name of it.
Yeah. Sorry, Gary.
Holy Ground.
I love Holy
That's
Ground.
the one you said was your
Yeah,
favorite
that's my
on,
favorite
on
of this
Twitter.
song.
I saw that.
Off this album.
Yeah, that's a decent one. Sad, Beautiful, Tragic. Don't even know.
I actually really like that one.
Lucky One. Terrible.
How dare you?
That song's terrible.
How dare you?
That song's so bad.
No, I'm leaving.
Starlight.
If you,
Oh, and I skipped Everything Has Changed. That's a good one. Ed Sheeran. That's the Ed Sheeran one.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good duet.
So you like the Ed Sheeran duet, but not Starlight? Okay. All right.
At least I don't remember Starlight being very
It's
good.
really good.
And then
I like-
Begin Again. I
I
don't
think
remember.
Begin Again was like the perfect song to end an album with.
I don't remember it, so I'll trust your judgment there.
I
But we
like
did
it.
definitely make some serious cuts to a 16-song album.
Yeah,
Or,
you don't need 16 songs.
no album needs to be that long. And then there's even more bonus ones here that I don't even know.
I like the bonus.
But anyways, there's that one. I'm not going to go through another one. But,
Another one.
but yeah, I do think that one has the highest highs, also lowest lows, as
Yeah.
I mentioned. I don't like a good chunk of the songs
Yeah.
on there. Whereas 89, I think you don't hit as many fantastic spots.
Yeah.
But I do think it's more consistent. It's more of an album, right?
Yeah.
It blends much better.
Oh yeah, it has the vibe is consistent.
And Style is actually a fantastic
Yes.
song. That's one of the few singles of hers that like
Shake
really
It Off
hits
was
it.
not a good single off of that album.
It belonged on this. It sounds
Yeah.
like Red.
It sounds like that. There was also like I like the bonus songs off of 1989 better than any of the original songs. New Romantics is my favorite song off of that album, but it wasn't on the original version.
Interesting.
Yeah, so those are my Taylor Swift opinions. Hard and fast.
Well, we talked a really long time about that, but
So then, we talked about Red. She's re-recording Red. We just talked about the songs that, we didn't think needed to be on Red in the first place. But what do you think about bands re-recording their songs? I know that you said at some point you were like, it's a money grab.
yeah, I mean, I was just like, her fans are like, this is the biggest,
Yeah.
like treason, committed against, like it's horrific what's happened to her. I'm like, it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily right, but she's far from the first person to have this happen to her, and certainly won't be the last.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like I don't really feel bad enough to go download a new version of the identical album that's like
Fair.
just so she can get the 5 cents off each stream. That's more what I meant.
Yeah.
Like, I just looked at it cynically. Like, I don't really.
You cynical?
Yeah, really. But yeah, I was. It is what it is. I mean, I also wouldn't give her like flack for it because like other artists, not to this extent of re-recording her entire discography, but have like done re-recordings of their biggest hits to try to be like, this is the definitive version because this is the one I own.
Yeah. I think like what she's doing is like, yeah, I agree with you where it's like, this is not like something that's like going to shake the world to its core. But I do think that there is like a little bit of like, she's like one of the biggest names in music. And so like the idea that like she could be taken advantage of like that. And then the fact that she is saying, no, you won't take advantage of me. That is like, it's not a huge deal, but it is a deal. So I think that's like kind of important in terms of just like a creative industry saying like, hey, like these are songs that I wrote, they are mine. You might own the masters, but they are still my songs.
Yeah.
I think that's cool and fun. And I also just really like the nostalgia of it, of getting to listen to songs that I listened to like as a kid for the first time as an adult again. I think that's really cool. I really did enjoy like the first one that she did was Fearless. I did enjoy sort of like staying up and like listening to that album again.
But yeah, it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's really a roadmap for anyone other than other human, like Adele maybe could do this.
Adele could probably do it. Like who else could do it?
Like no small musician or even bands that just like Snow Patrol.
Like Snow Patrol.
They couldn't do this, and it wouldn't make any difference, right? They could make new versions. Who's going to listen to it anyways?
Like Beyonce could probably do it. Like,
right.
Huge, like
it has to be.
It's got to be a household name.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Already like multi-billionaire.
I'm not like, I don't really care about like the whole like, I mean I care to an extent about like people and like owning their things, but I don't care about that as much as I'm like, ooh, new Taylor Swift album, that's neat, that's fun.
Yeah, like all of them in 1 year. It's crazy.
And that's cool. And you know, even people who like buy the vinyl, like you're getting new songs, so like cool.
Well, that does it for a rambly off-topic episode, but it was a lot of fun to talk about some, again, different topics thanks to a slower week. There's always, good things come out of that as well. Thanks to Holly and Jonah for joining me as always. It's great to get to talk about this stuff. Great to talk about Taylor Swift. Again, I am genuinely somewhat of a fan of hers, not in like the rabid fan way, but I definitely come off more cynical than I might be about it. No, it just
is incapable of not
of enjoying things.
Cynicism, yeah.
Incapable of purely enjoying things. But anyways, it was fun to talk about it. Even if I didn't sound like I was having fun, I did enjoy it. You can read the articles we talked about today and many, many more at our website, www.brockpress.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn at The Brock Press. On top of following us on social media, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. Too many names to say in one breath.
A whole lot of. There's so many places.
Places to get it. On top of that, you can get it also at our YouTube channel and on our website. So with all that said, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week for another episode.